All right, so I'm going to be presenting the ethics case for the Bjork-Shiley heart valve failure case. All right, so some of the important parties here. Um, One of them is going to be Donald Shiley, and the other is Viking Bjork. And those are the two guys that invented, or yeah, I guess they co-invented the heart valve replacement. And then the FDA is just going to kind of be more of a regulatory party here, just in kind of the role that they played. So some of the guiding values for Bjork and Shiley, one of them's got to be money. One of them's money just because they released this product kind of prematurely. So they were trying to get it out there on the market, maybe make some money off of it. Another one was going to be time efficiency. Um, So even though they didn't have like pretty much all the regulations that the FDA wanted the second time that they took it to them and it was approved, they took it to them anyway, knowing that it had some flaws. So they just wanted to put it out there on the market, start getting it into patients and seeing if it would work in a real life situation. And another one's going to be reputation. And reputation is here because at the time that they invented this heart valve, there really wasn't anything on the market like it. So it was kind of revolutionary at the time. And if it had come off successfully, they would have been some pretty major names in the medical community. And then another one that I didn't put down here is going to be just the patients that they were giving the valves to. And that's got to be one of their guiding values. It's not really a value, but maybe the safety of the patients is their value or the health, because they just wanted to get this new product out here because supposedly it would work a lot better than anything else on the market. And so they just wanted to provide the patients with the best care that they thought that they could. So some major decisions that were made here. One of them is going to be putting a market or a product on the market that was not quite ready for distribution. So the first time they took it to the FDA, obviously the FDA rejected it because it had some pretty bad flaws. One of them being that it closed with too much force, which over time would cause the metal parts to break, and then parts of the valve would go into the pulmonary system. And then that would cause the patient to die 2 out of 3 times. And so another one was going to be the FDA not running secondary tests after the first tests showed failure to ensure the integrity of the product. So if the FDA had run secondary tests, they would have seen that the heart valve was still not ready for distribution or mass scale production. And so they probably would have told them to take the heart valve and make more modifications to it to ensure the safety of the patients that it would be going into. And so what should have happened was Bjork-Shiley should have perfected their product before they sent it out for mass distribution. And they also should have informed the surgeons about all the risks that were involved in potentially putting this heart valve into their patients. And then their surgeons could have informed their patients of that potential risk before they decided to take this surgery. They also should have practiced conscientiousness, which is just putting your morality above any kind of narrow-sighted, maybe value. So that would have been just like saying, all right, this product isn't quite ready for distribution. So the right thing to do here would have been to keep the product, keep making changes, and make sure it's ready so that it doesn't hurt anybody in the future. And so some lessons that engineers can learn from this case is that they should always practice informed consent, which is making both sides, uh, informing both sides of whatever experiment you're running, you should always let both sides know what the risks are in participating in whichever kind of experiment you're running. And the experimental projects, whichever ones that engineers are running, they should have a high level of accountability to ensure that this doesn't happen, that everyone is being kept safe, that there's no overly dangerous or just unreasonable levels of risk that other people are putting themselves into. And engineers should also ask themselves if they would personally take the risk. So if Bjork and Shiley had asked themselves, all right, would I put this particular heart valve that I've made into my own heart as a replacement for my valve? They probably would have said no, because they would have recognized that it is pretty risky over time, and that it has a pretty high potential to break and possibly lead to the death of another person.